Hello everyone, my name is Francesca Santel and I'm going to be doing a presentation on a well-balanced diet. Before we begin, I did want to provide a little bit of background information, about who I am. I am a senior dietetics major here at IUP. I am actually going to be continuing my education also as well here at IUP. I will be graduating this May. And I enjoy the topic of food and nutrition because it is something that is in our everyday lives and is very important for our overall health. So in this lesson, I will be discussing what a well-balanced meal contains. I will be going over topics such as what foods to include in your diet, what foods to limit in your diet, eating foods that are comfortable, and one's caloric intake. So the ultimate goal is to provide knowledge on a well-balanced diet while allowing the audience to understand that eating well is not as scary as it seems. I also want to be able to provide a better understanding that what one is normally eating is not necessarily wrong, and they can still enjoy their everyday foods. I will be going through the PowerPoints, and then after I will have an activity on the slides as well. I will allow for a few seconds of a thinking moment on the answer, and then I'll provide the answer with a brief explanation of how the answer was concluded. So before we get started, if we were doing this presentation face-to-face, I would want to get more of a feel for the audience. So I just want to go as how I would normally do the presentation, even though I don't have anyone specifically that I'm teaching to, but just as questions to think in your back of your head as you're going through the video. So my beginning questions from my audience would have been, and still are, who believes that to eat healthy, all you have to do is just limit your caloric intake? Who believes that it is just a recommendation to eat fruits and vegetables and that it's not necessarily important in your diet? And who here believes that carbohydrates are the reason for weight gain? And who believes that you can never enjoy eating pizza and ice cream? So now, without further ado, we will get into today's presentation. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Sorry about that. All right, so this is a well-balanced diet by me, Francesca Santel. So to begin, we are going to be talking about today's objectives. We will be discussing foods to include in your diet. Again, I'm just mentioning these again, foods to limit in your diet and eating those comfort foods, and discuss one's caloric intake. All right, to begin, we are going to start on the topic of fruits and vegetables. So you really want to make sure that you're getting an emphasis of fruits and vegetables in your diet. About half of your plate should be from fruits and vegetables, which is about 2 cups. And if you're without measuring cups, just take your whole fist is about 1 cup, so double it. 2 of those should be your serving on your plate. Fruits and vegetables are a good source of fiber, which is very important for our gut health. They are low in calories and provide many nutrients. One thing to know is that they're where we're getting a lot of our vitamins and minerals, and every fruit and vegetable is providing different nutrients. So that's why it's very important to eat a variety of them. They say that you should eat the rainbow, make sure that you're eating a lot of the colors of fruits and vegetables to make sure you're getting all those nutrients. So how can we include these fruits and vegetables in our diet? So you want to, again, going back, you want to make sure that half your plate is with fruits and vegetables. You want to add more to any type of recipe that calls for fruits and vegetables. Substitute fruits and vegetables with any meal. always stay stocked in your house for easier access to eat fruits and vegetables. This is more of a convenience thing. If it's in your house, you went out and bought it, you're going to be more likely to want to eat it. Have grab-and-go fruits and vegetables ready and easy accessible. Again, this is a convenient thing, so if you're have a bowl of fruit sitting on the table, you're more likely to grab that apple on your way out. Next, we will be discussing whole grains and milk products. Specifically, you want to make sure that you're getting an emphasis on whole grains, fat-free and low-fat milk, and milk products in your diet. To begin with whole grains, it's very important to read the nutrition label when you're searching for whole grain products. You really want to make sure that it has that stamp or read the nutrition label where it reads 100% whole wheat flour. Sometimes there are products out there that read whole grain or whole wheat, but it's not saying 100% whole wheat flour. So again, just make sure that you're taking a look at the nutrition label. Half the grains you eat should be whole wheat grains. And next for this slide, we will talk about milk. Milk is the #1 dietary source of calcium, potassium, and vitamin D. Milk and milk products are associated with bone health, and they also are associated with lowering risks of diabetes, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. One other thing I do want to mention is that whole grains are, yes, very rich in nutrients, but they are associated with reducing blood cholesterol levels and lowering our risk of heart disease. All right, next is lean meats, poultry, and fish. When we include these in our diet, this is really where we're getting a lot of our protein intake for the day. They can be a rich source of unsaturated fats. Also to note is that every meat is providing different nutrients. So eating those variety of meats, yes. For example, if you're eating red meats, they are a good source of iron, zinc, and vitamin B12. So when we're shopping for lean meats, poultry, and fish, this can be tricky. So you really want to make sure that you're looking for lean cuts and you're checking the percentages because there are different percentages out there for lean cuts. Look for those skinless meats and always choose fresh meats, poultry, and fish. Also, one other thing to note is that different cuts do contain different amount of lean for you. All right, last thing that I want to talk about including in your diet is beans, eggs, and nuts. So depending on the type of bean, they can contain a rich source of fiber. Those fiber-rich beans are going to be pinto beans, black beans, navy beans. They have been shown to reduce cholesterol, blood sugar levels, and improve our gut health. So going back to that rich source of fiber. And next is eggs for this slide. Eggs are rich in protein, cholesterol, fat-soluble vitamins, and minerals, and essential fatty acids. The different parts of the egg do provide different nutrients, so you really want to make sure that you're not just eating the yolk or not just eating the egg whites because each part is containing different nutrients. So they are good for heart health and bone health. And now last for this slide are nuts. They are a good source of unsaturated fats. These unsaturated fats help with lowering our bad cholesterol, which is LDL, low density lipoproteins. They can be included in your snacks to incorporate more into your diet, and they have been shown to help with heart health. Again, going back to helping lower our bad cholesterol. All right, next slide. Real quick, I do have a short video that I would like to share with you about how you should portion your plate. All right, now we will get into foods that we should be limiting in our diet. The first we are going to be discussing are saturated and trans fats. Saturated and trans fat should be limited in the diet. To have a more understanding of what these are, saturated fats is the fat with no double bonds between the carbons because they are saturated with hydrogen molecules. They are naturally occurring in foods. Trans fat can also be naturally occurring in foods, or they can be artificial. So only 5 to 6% of total caloric intake should be from saturated and trans fat. So that goes for each of them. Only 5 to 6% of saturated, only 5 to 6% of trans fat. Limiting them can help lower blood cholesterol, improve lipid profiles, and trans fat can increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. Some examples of saturated fats are things such as meat or dairy products. These are going to be the meat and dairy products that are high amounts of fat, as opposed to those lean cuts or those low fat products. And as for trans fat, those are going to be more of crackers and cookies, those snack foods that we find. And next, we will be discussing added sugars. Added sugars should also be limited in our diet. There are naturally occurring sugars in food, and however, there are foods that get sugar added to them. An example of a natural occurring sugar is lactose. Lactose is the sugar in milk that really gives it its sweet taste. Added sugars do lead to weight gain, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Less than 10% of our total daily calories should be from added sugars. It really does depend on age, though, where children can consume up to 14% of their total daily calories from added sugar. One other very important note to make is that now recently they have changed the nutrition label where it does read the total amount of sugar, and then it also will read the added sugar, so you can really see the difference of how much added sugar they added to the product. All right, so now we will talk about comfort foods. I find this slide extremely important because a lot of people seem to believe you can never enjoy those comfort foods, and I'm here to say that is completely wrong. Foods you do enjoy eating, you just really want to make sure that you're eating them less often and just try to cut back. Enjoy the foods, but enjoy them in smaller quantity. And if you enjoy a certain food, see if there's an alternative out there, such as a low-calorie version or just a substitute that there are, such as if you enjoy eating ice cream as much as I do, you might want to see if there's a frozen yogurt, frozen Greek yogurt, or just eating plain yogurt in general. I do believe that eating foods you don't necessarily enjoy can be miserable, so being forced to eat broccoli every day could ruin your mood and cause you to be miserable. So just enjoy the foods you like. Just try to cut back and limit them. All right, last topic before we get into the activity. So this is on caloric needs. You really want to try to stay within your daily caloric needs. However, everyone's total daily calories are different. I know there is a rough range out there saying that you should eat 2,000 calories a day, but if you really want to be specific, it is very specific for you and custom to you. So it is based on 4 factors, and those are age, gender, height, and weight. However, if you are someone who is moderately active, extremely active, whatever the case is, there can be an activity factor. And then the formula that we are going to be using is the Mifflin-St. Jean formula. This will give us just our RMR, and as we can see, there are 2 different equations for men and women. For men, because it is based off of our gender. For men, the equation goes as follows: 10 times your weight plus 6.25 times your height minus 5 times your age and plus 5. And as for women, it is going to be almost the same, except for at the end, instead of adding that 5, you're going to subtract 161. So after you have gotten that number, you are going to want to multiply that final number by your activity factor. There are other factors such as a stress factor or injury factor. Those are just more for patients or in a hospital setting, whereas if you're just someone who wants to know your total daily calories, this would be the one that you are using. Also to note for this equation is that the units we are using are going to be weight is in kilograms, height is in centimeters, and age is in years. Okay, next we are going to be taking a look at carbs, proteins, and fats from our total daily calories. Each one holds a different percentage that we should be consuming. So, for example, carbohydrates, 45 to 65% of our total daily calories. 45 to 65% of our total daily calories is coming from carbs, 10 to 30% of our total daily calories should be coming from protein, and 20 to 35% of our total daily calories should be coming from fat. Now, I know that carbs and proteins carbs, proteins, and fat kind of are perceived that if you're eating these, that it may cause weight gain. Well, that is completely wrong. Carbohydrates are one of our main sources of energy, or it is our main source of energy, and protein and fat provide energy as well. But carbohydrates is that main source, and it's not carbs make you cause weight gain. Excess carbs are causing that weight gain, or excess protein are causing that weight gain, and excess fat are causing that weight gain. So it's not necessarily eating them is causing that weight gain, because that's wrong, and that these are where our main sources of energy are coming from. Now, a few examples of carbohydrates, some that might take you by surprise if you're not really knowledgeable on it, is that most vegetables are carbohydrates. Oranges, some other fruits, rice, bread, as we know, peas. Yeah, so examples of proteins that we're going to see are meat. This is where, again, already back to our meat, poultry, and fish. Those are all great sources of protein, and eggs are going to be a good source, or beans are a good source of protein. And good sources of fat are avocados, nuts and seeds, butter, and cheese. So moving on. So next, I do have 2 examples that I have come up with to just practice, make sure you do have an understanding of what the equation is. So, and then I will give a few minutes to answer these, and then we will go over the answer. So for the first one, there's a 50-year-old female client who needs to know her caloric intake. She weighs 140 pounds and is 5'5". She also has an activity factor of 1.5. So that's that one. And then the next one, there is a 22-year-old male who weighs 155 pounds and is 5'10". He is conditioning for football, so his activity factor is about 1.7, and he would like to know how many calories he should be intaking. So take a second, go ahead and figure out the answer. All right, if you need more time, you can go ahead and take a pause for the video, but we're gonna move ahead and figure out the answer here. So for the first one, we do see that we had to convert her height and weight. So for her new weight, we see that she weighs 63.6 kilograms, or not her new weight, but her converted weight. And then her converted height is 165.1 centimeters. So for the overall equation, we see it is 10 times 63.6 plus 6.25 times 165.1 minus 5 times 50 minus 161, because this is for the female equation. So from there we get 1,256.9, and then we multiply by her activity factor, which is 1.5. We find that her total caloric intake should be 1,885.4. As for the male that we have, his equation goes as follows: 10 times 70.5 for his weight, plus 6.25 times 177.8 for his height, minus 5 times 22, plus 5. And then from there we get 1,711.3, and he said he was conditioning for football, so his activity factor was a little higher at 1.7, and his total caloric intake should be 2,909.1. So as we can see, that that range that is just out there for 2,000 calories a day, it can depend on what you're doing. So we do see that the female was close to there, but the male, his activity factor was higher, and so he needed a little bit more calories daily for himself. All right, now we will begin this activity I have just simply called red light, yellow light, and green light. It is situational questions that are based on what has been learned from the lesson. This activity will test the knowledge of the audience and apply the information into real life situations. Red light will imply a person should not do this. A yellow light will imply that a person can do this, just maybe take some precautions. And green light will imply that the situation is a complete go and can be done. All right, so for the first one, when eating fruits and vegetables, it is healthier to only eat the green ones. Go ahead and take a few seconds, and then we'll go over the answer. All right, So that is a red light. When eating fruits and vegetables, you should eat the rainbow. Again, this goes back to our fruits and vegetables slide that you really want to make sure you're getting those different nutrients. So eating different varieties and colors helps with that. So next example, eating ice cream is completely okay, just limit the intake. All right, for this one, we have a green light. Eating what you enjoy is allowed. Just limit your favorite foods. Don't forget to try those alternatives. You never know what you could like more. And our last example, you can eat refined grains. All right, for our answer here, we have a yellow light. While you can eat refined grains, you really should be making sure that half the grains you are eating are from 100% whole wheat grains. And that concludes it. These are my references. We will stop sharing here. To conclude, I do want to say thank you for watching and taking the time to listen to my presentation on a well-balanced meal. I hope that I have provided some information and tips and some more of a comfort for you to understanding what it takes to eat a well-balanced diet and really understand that you're not necessarily eating wrong. It's just how much you're intaking. Um, I do want to say that a well balanced diet is very important for our overall health. It does help in the long run with infections or diseases, and it's very important for our bodies to make sure that we are getting the proper nutrients that we need throughout the day. Uh, like I said back in the introduction, it's something in our everyday lives, and it's something that is very important to know about. Um, and if you are someone who doesn't really like the way they're eating, wanting to change your diet starts with you making the change. So I really hope this presentation has helped with that. And if there are any questions, please feel free to provide them, give them to me, give me feedback on how you felt over the presentation, and I will be happy to answer anything. And if there aren't any, I hope you enjoyed and have a great rest of your day.